How's it going? Welcome to the Guitar Effect. My name's Rob. So if your situation in the current climate is anything like my situation, you're doing a lot more playing guitar by yourself in front of 0 people in a very small room than you are playing in front of many people with other members of a band on a stage in a big room. And with that in mind, I think making the best of that guitar playing experience at home is a really worthwhile thing to explore. So I think that a 5-watt tube head is a really good way to enjoy the experience, and it's definitely the way I'm going to do it. The Laney L5 Studio is a single-ended Class A boutique amplifier head with 5 watts of power and powered by one EL5 tube in the power section. Is what I think one of the best options for home recording and home kind of rehearsing out there on the market at the moment. It's just a really comprehensive, really well thought out all-round amplifier. The amp consists of 2 channels. You have the clean channel here, and then you have the drive channel. The clean channel has a clean volume, and that's the only control for the clean channel. It's not gain control, but as you wind that control up, it gets more gainy. And then the drive channel has its own drive knob to control the amount of distortion, and it has its own drive volume to control the volume of that channel. It then has a 3-band EQ, an onboard digital reverb, and a tone control, which is kind of, I think, a nod to the AC30 and acts like a presence control in the power amp section of the amplifier. It also includes a really big set of features on the back panel. So they include a 1-watt and 5-watt speaker output separately. So you just plug the speaker jack into whichever one you want, and it either outputs, it's either 1 watt or 1.5 watts, something like that, or 5 watts. And it also has a emulated out on a XLR DI out that has the ability to switch between either having a speaker emulated sound or else just a direct sound that you can add an IOR to afterwards in your DAW. And it also has an amazing USB audio interface built in. So what that allows you to do is allows you to use the amp as your audio interface. So literally plug into your amp, plug the USB cable from your amp into the computer and record directly. But it also allows you to send, when it records the track, it takes a uncolored straight DI signal of your guitar into the DAW at the same time. You can then take that, play it back through the amp and tweak the controls to get the sound exactly where you want it, which is really quite amazing. So yeah, that's the outline of the features of the amp. So let's take a listen to some sounds. So I'm just running it direct into my interface from the emulated output on the back of the amp. I'm playing my parts caster that I built, which I went through in another video. It's got a P90 in the neck and a Untitled Chapter T in the bridge, and it is quite, I'd say it's like a medium output guitar. And so I'm just going to go through a few different sounds, and then I'm going to get a loop on my HX Effects, play a loop into the amplifier and go through the different controls. So I'm just going to go through a few different cool sounds I found with this amp, and then I'll go through, you know, tweaking different sounds. So starting off, what I call kind of a pedal platform sound, right? It's a really neutral sound in the clean channel of the amp. It sounds like this. Oh, and I will also apologise for the quality of my playing, because I do still have, even though I have the cast off, I do still have a quite significantly broken finger here in my pinky, so I'm trying to avoid using it still. So as you can see, it's quite a, for want of a better word, personality to sound. So then it takes pedals really well. You can put an overdrive in that. Give it a little bit more tone, a bit brighter. That is the Mosky Deluxe preamp. Fuzz here. Like pickup. So as a pedal platform, it works perfectly well. Then a couple of the other things you might do to make the sound a little bit more interesting are you could just, I can't really wind up the gain because the jack plug is in the way, but you can turn on the bright switch. Bright switch on. Bright switch off. The bright switch on, it does what you expect, it gets far more trebly. It's a P90 on the back pickup. You have to be really, really careful about what I play, so I try not to involve my little finger. So that's kind of the two clean sounds. As you can see, I have the bass rolled off a little bit and the treble rolled off a little bit. And the tone, which is like the opposite of a tone cut on an AC30, rolled up to just past halfway, because I find that's where the basic sound has a little bit of personality about it. So with the bright switch off. Okay, so then I go on to the dirty channel. So I'll just do that here. Okay. Little finger out of the picture is more problematic than you might think. Kind of got a voxy quality about it, I think, on the dirty channel, especially if I push the mid a bit more. Maybe not as much pushed mid, but if I turn the bright switch on as well. So turn the bright switch off, go through the gain range on the dirty channel. So that's currently at 4, so like a third. I'll bring it up to 2/3. Gets quite gainy. keep forgetting about my finger. And then right up to full, which I would never use with this because I just don't think it's pleasant. It's also worth mentioning, right now I'm in the low gain input, so that would be even higher gain if it was in the higher gain input, but I find that the treble gets unmanageable with this particular guitar and the high gain input. It sounds much better through the low gain input. And then, so that's kind of covered off the clean and dirty channel. I'm just going to show you the depth of the reverb. So if I go back to the clean channel, put the reverb up quite high. Put the bright switch on. I think it kind of sounds like a plate reverb. I think it's listed as a spring reverb, but it has a platey kind of feel to me. So that's a reverb up at like 7. And then if you do that similar kind of bluesy thing with the overdrive pedal on the clean channel with the bright switch on, it's quite nice. And then maybe just to show you the effects loop in action, here is a hall reverb off the HX effects with the same sound. I'll just turn off the gain boost. And actually, it's probably worth turning on the gain channel for this because obviously it's using the gain channel is where the effects loop comes into play. Gain channel is responsible for volume up. So finally, I'm just going to show you kind of a process sound. So I'm going through the dirty channel on the amp, and I have a hall reverb on in the effects loop and an Adriatic delay in dotted 8 timing in the effects loop as well. It sounds like this. I think effects loop serves its purpose really, really well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play a loop through the amplifier and I'm going to go through the different controls to show you how the different controls affect. It's basically I'm playing the loop so I don't have to play and I can just show you the loop going through the amplifier. So here is the loop. It's like an A thing. So this is the clean channel, as you can see. volume back. It gets a lot more subdued. Wind the bass off, bass on. Really pleasant bass sound. Wind the middle out. It's very scooped. Really nice treble control. So this tone knob brings up high end of the power amp, and I think it works really well. Really good for like matching your right guitar to it. So then I'm going to switch over to the dirty channel. You can see the dirty channel can get really clean. So the drive volume actually affects the amount of gain as well, or bringing the power on tunes in. Your bright switch works across both. So yeah, I think that shows the tonal capabilities of this amp. To me, it's got a Fender Tweed or perhaps Vox AC30 thing going on. I'm really happy with it as an alternative to this Cox Studio 120, which I'm using for my Plexi and JCM type sounds. So yeah, there's the sounds. What I'm going to do now is give you a listen to it being used as a USB interface. So to start with, as always with these things, there's some connections that need to be made from the amplifier and to the amplifier in order to make this reamping process and USB interface work. So as you can see here, the first thing you have to do is you have to connect a USB cable from the USB out, obviously on the back of the amplifier, to your computer. The second thing you need to do is you need to connect a set of headphones to the headphones out on the back of the amplifier and ensure that the switch beside the headphone jack in the amplifier is switched to USB and not amp. And the third connection that you will need to make, although you won't make it immediately, will be to take a cable from the reamp out on the back of the amplifier and run it either into a pedal board going back into the Laney or directly into the input of the Laney itself. Obviously, if you run into a pedal board, you'll be able to affect the reamped signal with the pedals as well as the controls on the amplifier, which is an interesting thing to be able to do. But yeah, that's the third connection. So reamp output into either pedal board that runs into the input of the amp or else directly into the input of the amp. So okay, hopefully that is useful, and this diagram as always will be able to be downloaded from a link in the description. Okay, so let's move on to how to use the USB interface and how to reamp your signal. Okay, so before I get into this, you may be wondering why my beard has all of a sudden disappeared. It's simply because this video is made in 3 parts, as in this section about reamping and stuff. And I made all 3 parts last night and forgot to turn my camera on for the beginning, the first part. So I'm just re-recording the first part tonight. And in the interim, I've shaved my beard off. So that's why I look different, and why I'm going to look different again in about 3 minutes. Okay, so with that noted, how I'm going to go about demoing just the USB recording part and the reamping part of the features of the amplifier are I'm going to use the track that we used at the beginning of the video to demo the amplifier, right? So I have that pulled up here, the session in front of me in Logic. And as you can see, I have the DI signal track here, and it is on input 1. And I have the amp signal track, and it's on input 2. Input 1 from the amp, basically the amp sends out left and right. Left is the DI signal and right is the amp signal. And if I strum a chord with both input monitoring on, you get this. Oh, sorry, the actual amp sound is muted. So the first thing you heard there was the direct signal, and the second was the amp signal. So what I'm going to do is have it set up. Oh yes, so I should explain the part I'm going to play. So in the chorus of this song, I'm just going to play this here. You'll hear this track called Casino, and it is a rhythm track for the chorus part, and it's played on 1 string. So have a listen. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to double that, but play it with chords. And also I'm switching from the Epiphone Casino Coupe to this Court 335 copy that gives some burst Book of Pros in it, and so it's quite a far more higher output guitar. The amp is set actually quite similar, and the tone's like this. Okay, so we're just going to go for that now and I'll listen to it. So that's how the computer, or sorry, that's how the Laney records via USB, like any other USB interface, into the DAW. And as you can see here, it gives you the DI signal, which I'll play in isolation now. So as you can hear, that's completely dry. It's just the guitar going straight in. And then I'll solo the amp signal. So that's kind of what it does, right? So it's the exact sound that I've not programmed, but like put into the Laney, I suppose, by getting the knobs to the settings I like and the switches and stuff. And that's the kind of sound I wanted to get, that when I match it up with the Casino. So I'm going to mute the DI signal and just listen to them, and I'm going to pan the amp signal to the other side of the Casino, and let's have a listen. And I think the two of those sounds combined gives you the front end attack with a single note, and then the kind of thickness with the chords played on the humbucker. So I'm really quite happy with that. But should I want to explore further, I could reamp that using the Laney, obviously, and that's the other thing I'm going to go into in a moment. But before I do, so what we have here with this DI signal is a completely dry recorded guitar track that you could go and reamp with the Laney and experiment with settings to get a more appropriate tone, one that you might want to do something different, right? So I will go through that in a moment, but obviously because we've got a DI signal recorded, we could also quite easily just supply an onboard amp sim. Like you could use Amplitude, Helix Native, you could use whatever you wanted. I'm just going to, for handiness sake, use the onboard amp simulators in Logic. So on this track here, I have a pedal board and amp in that order assigned to it. So it's going to play this track at the moment, right? Solo it. There it is. Okay, I'm going to add an amp. As you can see, it puts an amp sound on. In this case, it's an AC30 style sound, right? And then I'm kind of thinking, man, I could use a bit more gain. So I'm going to add a pedal to it. So that is Logic's, sorry, it's going to turn it off. That's Logic's tube screamer in effect. And so with the two of them in context, get this. As you can see, the DI signal that the amp records is actually really, really handy for you to be able to affect afterwards. So I'm going to move on to reamping it with the Laney itself now. So how you actually go about this is I have it set up to record, I hit record. I've taken this earphone off my ear, so I'm just getting the reamped track in this ear actually, which is a rudimentary but usable way of just hearing the reamped track. Now I can't hear it in context of the track, which is a bit annoying, but I will at least hear what's being recorded. So I'm going to hit record now, and I'm going to let it play through in loops a few times until I really have it somewhere I like it. Gonna let it come around again. Do a few takes. I'm pretty happy with that now. It's pretty aggressive. I've got the pedal on the ground coming in to the dirty tone of the amp with the driver on back with the mid boosted. Pretty happy with that. A little bit more reverb. Okay. So yeah, pretty happy with that. I'm going to roll with that take, and that shows how the amp manages to take the signal back in, play it through your pedals or whatever you want again, and then record that onto a different track. Okay, so just to kind of sum up the benefits of this reamping function, what that has effectively left me with is, I think, yeah, 3 different choices of tones that I can use from just recording one guitar part. So they are back in, I'll unsolo them and show them one by one in the mix. So without any of them on at all, here is the original track. Just the casino. And then we add in the original recording of the amp. As it comes around and loop again, I can turn the original one off until the I signal, turn on the Vox and the pedal. Okay, have a listen to that. So that's nice, but it's probably too similar to the original casino part, so I'm going to mute that and go down to the reamped version, which should be significantly heavier than any of the ones I've done, and hopefully the texture will work really well. So let's have a listen to that. So yeah, as you can hear, you record one guitar part and it gives you many, many tonal options of ways to make it, you know, get the sound you want to sit in the mix by either reamping via Laney or indeed putting a software amp on it. So yeah, that's the USB and reamping functionality. So there you go. Hopefully I've been able to demonstrate the very, very wide range of capabilities of this extremely well thought out home recording and home playing solution that is the Laney L5 5-watt head. I think it's a brilliant piece of innovation and really clever design that brings together all the different functionalities of a number of different pieces of equipment you might want for the ultimate playing at home experience. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I've covered off the many benefits of this amplifier. And if you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe, and let's have a chat about it in the comments of this video. Let me know what you thought. And hopefully I will see you soon. Take it easy.